unlike any other event I've ever been to. It's really fast paced. People are having a wonderful time, and there's like all these tidbits that come from different almost directions.
Hello, it's John Bernadovich, president and founder of Willory and an organizer for DisruptHR Columbus. I'm delighted today to be joined by Bridgette Klein, director of marketing at Willory, as well as the chair of our marketing committee for DisruptHR Columbus. She's been quite busy with helping to put together a number of video and content that we continue to share with our community in the Columbus area and beyond. And I know that Bridgette has quite a bit to share in regards to what's been different for her with COVID and what recommendations she has for HR and how she is seeing things differently from a marketing perspective. So Bridgette, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Of course, thank you.
Bridgette, I might have been remiss in not sharing how people can get a hold of you through your social handle or other ways.
All right. Well, when it comes to this kind of setting, I am most active on LinkedIn. So if you search for Bridgette, Bridgette, Beard, like what's on men's faces, Klein, Klein, you'll find me. But I'm also on Twitter via Bridgette, same spelling, B as in boy, Klein. And then, personally, I'm on Instagram and Facebook, but that's probably not where most people are going to find the most exciting content when it relates to an HR space.
But it is very wildly entertaining, and I know you share a lot of cool content there, so maybe they can follow you both places.
Hey, that is fine. I have been on the same social media handle since I think I was 16, so it is pretty funny. It's Bridgie, Bridgy, the letter X, and then potato. And of course there's a joke there, but once you get something that you like, sometimes you just stick with it forever.
I understand. Yeah. We won't have you explain that. All right. So as it relates to your adjustment, obviously many people may know or not that Willory is a 100% virtual company. So our home office is our home. And so I know you've been working from home for over 5 years as part of our marketing team. But specifically, who's keeping you company there, and what has the adjustment been like for you?
Yeah, so it's weird because sometimes it feels like there's no adjustment at all because I'm in my office doing what I do day in, day out. I have my routines. I'm able to keep to those. I'm able just to function as normal. But then it kind of shocks me when I go downstairs. My husband is working from home right now as well, and he has 3 monitors going in the middle of our living room because he needs to hardwire into our Ethernet, and we have a 1930s house, and there's only one place you can put that hardwire in. So he's there. My daughter, who just turned 5 during all of this, is home, and then we have 2 dogs and a rabbit.
Oh. Well, happy birthday to Keely, and congratulations on that. That's a big milestone. Yeah. And I'm sure you're adjusting to all the homeschooling and everything else that's going on. So
we're taking the approach that less is okay. If we get a dedicated hour of homeschooling in, I'm okay with that because it's dedicated and she's where she needs to be. So try not to stress ourselves out too much there.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So as it relates to you being a marketing guru for Willory and DisruptHR Columbus, why is it that you do what you do, Bridge?
I think ultimately the reason I do what I do is to inspire and empower people to really improve their work situations. We spend so much of our time, now it's home, but really we're working. And so in order to have, really people who understand and are happy in their lives, I think it's important that as a culture, we shift to make work a better experience for most people. And employee engagement is so important. But beyond that, how can people make micro changes as well that really, moves the needle? And then I think when it comes to HR, I just see how important it is to have a strong HR presence. So whatever I can do from a marketing perspective to help people, that's really what I want to do.
Cool. Yeah, no, and you've done a great job, and thank you for that. So obviously we're in this new age and era with COVID and the impact that it's had on our communities and loved ones and healthcare workers and businesses, et cetera. What's been the impact to you personally, Bridgette?
I think the biggest impact, as I mentioned, is my husband is home and my daughter is home. The next big thing that I want to go back to normal is kind of how I look at it is I want our rock climbing gym to open so that my daughter stops climbing on everything in the house and we stop hearing crashes and all that. So when that opens, I think we'll be the first ones there getting her on the rock climbing wall. We work from home already, so that was pretty standard. And I think beyond that, it feels like there's a lack of freedom in a sense. Like we are kind of confined to certain spaces and, we're getting outside more, we're going to different parks, etc. So we're making the best of it, but it just does feel like a confinement in some ways.
Sure.
And then
Yeah.
when it comes to work, I think, we worked really, really hard on our 2020 plan, and that all went out the window in a matter of moments and days. And so now instead, my office is full of the equipment we had for Newark because we weren't able to give it away and that kind of thing. So it's these events that maybe didn't happen, obviously DisruptHR not happening, that have really been the most impactful.
Sure. Yeah, no, a ton of planning and adaptability and flexibility. I know we're driving a lot of content through DisruptHR Columbus as well as through Willory, and I appreciate your flexibility there. I think it's important as the business needs change, so too does marketing and HR and the list goes on. So what silver lining do you see coming out of all this, Bridgette? Some experiences maybe you've had, maybe with your husband being home or being with your daughter more or other things. What do you see coming out of this as a positive once all of this is behind us?
Yeah, I think that it's been a catastrophic change for the world, and the idea that this is all going to go back to normal next week, I think we have to release. But I do think it's important to find those moments that are different and are changing. Obviously, spending more time with my family is great. My husband is the one who cooks in the family, so now I get home cooked lunches, and I've been joking, like he'll just come up and slide like an omelet or a turkey melt on my desk like in the middle of a meeting, and I'm so gracious that he's doing that. And I'm not going out to eat fast food, or I am eating lunch. So that's a big silver lining. I think also it's giving people a chance to slow down, and the idea that environmentally this is having such a huge impact and the earth is like getting clearer. They're saying like waterways are clear and the atmosphere is better. I think that's some of the silver linings we have to believe in. And I also think from a work perspective that this has had such an impact. I mean, everyone always asks us, how do you work from home and how does that function and are you as productive? And I think people are really seeing the true benefits of remote work, but also improving, and digitizing and moving into where we are as a society now. You can't have paper processes when everyone has to work remotely. So I think there's definite good that's going to come out of this.
Yeah, I agree. One really great thing, does Derek deliver by chance, or is that something we can work out?
He does it in like small increments. So I don't know if I can get him to deliver outside of University Heights, but I can always ask.
Yeah, wouldn't that be the interesting thing that comes out of this? Hey, what's Derek making for lunch today? Can he deliver it to? Here's my address.
Derek
That's
delivery.
Cool.
Yep.
Right. How cool. So in your experience, Bridgette, I know you work with our team and it's filled with a bunch of HR professionals and recruiters and business development folks, as well as then our consultants and our contract and staff augmentation resources. So how have you seen HR changing from a strategic standpoint, execution perspective, the adaptability you've seen and heard over the last 45 days or so?
I think that the biggest thing that I've seen /HR can be doing is kind of getting back to the foundations and improving what it means to be human resources. It's the connection between the organization and the people, and how do you improve that, and how do you make that stronger? But also, what are the foundations that maybe people haven't had a chance to do trainings, and their systems have maybe gone out of whack? And I know we've talked about that a bunch, but how can people use this time that we've been forced to slow down, and truly use it to rebuild and re-understand those foundations? And then as we shift into the next phase, we will, you've improved so much during this time, as opposed to just feeling stagnant, that's really where huge benefit and success will come from.
Sure. Yeah. A little bit of that slowdown you mentioned before that's impacting the earth. Too, people are able to maybe look at processes or technology or systems that they can better use, as well as, digitize things or leverage in a way that maybe they hadn't thought of before. So yeah, it's really the adaptability and change and thinking in a new way. So, and as it relates to that, are there, from a standpoint of what you're doing and maybe in your DisruptHR Columbus role, as well as a marketing director for Willory, which serves the HR community, what support systems are you providing to them in your organization?
My goal has been to provide connections, typically through content, but also how can we connect different people together that maybe otherwise wouldn't have had the chance to do so. It's interesting because, again, back to that idea of confinement, in a way, we might have to be in our houses, but that doesn't, like, the world, I think, in a lot of ways has opened up globally. You look at a lot of these organizations and they're banding together with other city, associations, because everyone is virtual. So that means you can attend, a meeting arguably anywhere in the world. And I think that's really important. And then you take that the step further and build connections, because that's what we need to get through this, is a connection to people.
Yeah. You got to do it in a different way because you can't do it physically. At the same time, what ways can you help and assist people throughout all that? I think that's awesome. And that's why we've continued this content for those in our community that have been so supportive of DisruptHR and bringing it to Columbus. That being said, as it relates to your experience with DisruptHR, I know it's multifaceted. And so maybe if you wouldn't mind sharing your experience with the concept, and then maybe ending with what you feel about the enthusiasm and what's coming for Columbus.
Great, yeah. So when I joined Willory, it was right after the first DisruptHR in Cleveland, and there was just this excitement around that. And then I think within 6 months of me starting at Willory, John spoke at the second one in Cleveland, and from then on, I was hooked. And I was really excited when Willory was able to secure the license for DisruptHR Columbus, because that meant that it was going to happen, and it will still happen, maybe in a different format. But I knew just how much passion there was from everyone on our team for this, disruptive, different event. For those people who've never been to one, it's unlike any other event I've ever been to. It's really fast paced. People are having a wonderful time, and there's like all these tidbits that come from different almost directions. And you'll get something out of every presentation because they are like diluted to that essence in 5 minutes. And it makes you think a little differently than I think a lot of people do day to day. And so I have spoke at DisruptHR in Cleveland on how marketing and HR can work together. And then really, as we were kind of building our plan and process for Columbus, I went to a whole bunch of different DisruptHRs, including the one in Detroit and the one in Buffalo. So I think I saw something like, I forget how many. It was a bunch of DisruptHR events. They were all in September in a short amount of time. And it was really cool to see how each city does things just a little differently. And from location to how they manage the event and what it looks like specifically. There's a lot you can do with the format.
Cool. Yeah, no, distinctly remember your presentation. I know you stepped out of your comfort zone to do that, and that's having presented a few times or a couple times. It's definitely a really invigorating experience. And I know you've been marketing it in Cleveland and Columbus at the same time supporting our firm throughout it. So I know it's a big part of who you are and what we do every day. So I really appreciate you joining, Bridgette. And for those of you that are out there listening, I just wanted to share one main point. So on April 30th at 4 o'clock, we're getting together 11 of our 13 original speakers for DisruptHR Columbus for a virtual roundtable. We've got a wide variety of topics that have come in that we're going to be covering, from adjusting to this new normal, as well as some of the things that people have to do from an HR perspective around maybe a job change or other critical aspects within your business that are now different or adjusted. So please consider joining us for that, and we will see you next time for our next virtual coffee chat. Thanks, Bridgette.
Thank you.